we're able to display the quote here. Next, I want to implement the method to add new quotes. Now for that, I'll first add a new component, the NewQuote.view file. I'll copy the code from the quote grid here and insert it there. And now how should this behave, or what do we need in this new quote file? Well, first of all, I don't need to import the quote. Second, I don't need props, and I won't have components in there too. So let's empty this object for now. Now what shall we have in the template? I want to have a row, and in this row, I also want to have a div with a class of col sm8 and some offsetting for nicer styling, call him sm offset 2, call xs 12, call md6, and call md offset 3. Now if that is all brand new to you, that are just some bootstrap styles to make the grid look possibly as good as possible on all different device sizes and widths mainly. So inside here, I want to have my label, quote, and I want to have my text area. Now for that to work, I need to wrap everything here in a form. Now we haven't learned about forms, and I will come to them in the next course module. Here is a very simple preview. It's not that hard. So we have our default HTML form tag with our column in there with the quote label and the text area field. And that text area gets a class of form control, bootstrap styling. And on the wrapping div, we have a form group, also a bootstrap style here, a bootstrap class to give this some nice styling. On that text area here, I want to set up 3 rows. So that's a normal HTML attribute. And then I will bind it with two-way binding to quote. This is how you work with forms in Vue.js. You use that vModel thing, and I'll come back to this in the next course section. We already learned about two-way binding though, so it should be rather easy to understand what's happening here. We need to set up this data function, return an object, and in this object here, we want to bind, or we want to set up this quote property, which is an empty string initially, to which we're binding from the text area. So this will get set whenever we enter something here in this text area. Well, that's one thing. The second thing is I'll copy this column here, and in there I only want to have a button with the button and button primary bootstrap classes attached to it, where I say add quote. Now on there, I simply want to add the click listener and say create new, execute this method, and I will add the prevent modifier to prevent the default behavior, because I don't want to submit the form. I don't want to send a request to the server that would reload the page. I don't want that. Instead, I want to prevent the default and only execute the create new method, which I'll now add here in the methods key or object. Here I'll have my create new method, ES6 style. And in there, all I want to do is I want to emit this new quote. Now we saw that before, but I'll come back to this in the next video when I finally will send the quote created here to the parent component.